I am a soy dev now, and I've been trying to earn some pennies freelancing. So, freelancing, what an interesting career choice that is. I just wanted to make a quick video because I was on a popular freelancing website when I came across a proposal for a job, and I saw that the price range was up to $250 and I thought to myself, yes, I would quite like a paycheck of $250, thank you very much. So the typical thing happened. I investigated the project, and this is what I found. Implementing paper into code. So the first thing I thought when I saw this was, okay, somebody's probably got a research paper. They need some implementation of that in some programming language. Probably doesn't matter which one it is. That sounds like the kind of thing that I can do. So here we go. It says project details. Implement the paper in any language. SGX computation is very important. If you can do half, it's also fine. No idea what SGX is, by the way. But I thought I'd take a look at this research paper. And here's what we get for $250 and an implementation or half an implementation of this, please. Privacy preserving GWAS computation on outsourced data encrypted under multiple keys through hybrid system. Not a clue what that means, to be honest with you. And this is quite typical of the kind of jobs that I will see advertised on these freelancing websites. There are jobs around $30, there are many of them, and people just want something fairly simple doing, and they want it fairly cheaply, and you can apply, say that you'll do it for $30, and then on investigation say, well, okay, maybe this will be a bit more than $30, I can do it for $60 or $90 because it's 2 or 3 hours work, something like that, and it's not a particularly big deal. Somebody wants maybe a game making, a simple 2D game with some games library, or they want, I don't know, some random thing implementing in Python. No big deal, can be done fairly quickly. This, however, is the other end of the spectrum. There aren't really many jobs in the middle. There's just things that are cheap, and once you've done the work, it's still close to minimum wage, if not lower than minimum wage for the UK. And then there are things where they're offering significantly more, so in this case $250, but the work is just astronomical. So here's obviously clearly a academic paper, it's a research paper. It's I mean, I've only really read the first page, but from the first page it's clear that it's something to do with an algorithm to do with encrypting or securing genetic information, and basically there's some concern that genetic information, people's genetic information, needs to be secured in some way, because there are now more and more research labs that have records of people's DNA and that kind of thing. Anyway, so we just scroll through, page 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 pages of a research paper that I'm being asked to read, understand, and then implement whatever the details are in code for $250, which is ridiculous. That you'd have to pay me $100 just to read this thing. Anyway, so that's not the end of the story. So this is the typical thing. And one of the troubles with these freelancing websites, there are many of them, you're competing against the global economy, the entire world, which is fine because almost everybody in the world has a computer in their house somewhere, and they can log on to one of these freelance websites. If they have any interest or experience in programming whatsoever, they can claim they're some kind of developer and then submit proposals to these kind of projects. Anyway, so let's have a look at some of the proposals that were received. There were only 2 at the time when I investigated this. It was half an hour after it had been posted. Some guy here offering $100, and he thinks he can do this in 2 days. He says, "Hi mate, I can assist you with this project relating to implementing paper into code. I'm experienced in Python, cryptography, encryption, C++ programming, and algorithm. I've completed many similar assignments before. Somehow I don't believe that. Please leave me a message for further discussion or previous samples. You can reach me out through my profile link, blah, blah, blah. So this is very typical. The person applying will just copy keywords from the job description and they will apply with some lowball offer and say they've done, similar things in the past, which is clearly not the case. I don't think anybody believes that Samina Kiran has implemented genetic encryption, blah blah security algorithm for protecting people's DNA information. I highly doubt it. And then the second proposal that I've seen for $167 from Mohith, and he says, I'm open to all the required technology and I have experience of all of these things. We'll be glad to work on this project, and your project can be very well finished with the help of Python and its libraries. I'm a Python developer, so I will complete this project in the required time. I assure there will be no delay in delivering it. I will be glad if you will give me a chance to work on this project. And I don't really know how these replies are being received. I assume some people must accept them and just see what work, if any, gets done. And I suspect in this case, if either of these were accepted, a very minimal or none at all work would be done, and either the project would never be marked as complete, or perhaps it would expire and they would say they'd done a certain number of hours of work but made no progress and still expect payment. So I don't really know how that works. But so for freelancing in general, can you make money doing freelancing? So I've been doing this for about 2 weeks, and my experience so far is you can, but if you're based somewhere like the UK, which I am, it's very difficult to make enough money to even live doing this, because you'll have many projects where things appear to be very simple and you think this is only 1 or 2 hours of work, and then you go to try and do the project and it will take maybe a bit longer. It will take 2.5, 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, and then the amount you get paid is just not worth, it's almost not worth doing for the amount you get paid. It might be £10 an hour once the fees have been taken, once it's been converted from US dollars, or even worse, Canadian or Australian dollars or something like that, into your own currency. The amount you get is very low. Further to this, there are other issues. So I found it very difficult to fill my time with these projects. I get lots and lots of projects, but I often get them all at the same time. So a lot of them come in the evening. So when people in the US, when it's 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the US, that's when proposals will start getting submitted, or I'll see new jobs pop up, that kind of thing. So I'll be picking those up at 10, 11 p.m. at night. And obviously if you try and stay up really late every night to catch all of those projects, then you can be up till 1, 2, 3 in the morning easily just picking up these projects and applying for things. And typically on some sites I'll have to apply for approximately 10 things before I even get a response. Part of that, I think, is due to the fact that there are all these spam applications that are being posted everywhere. It makes it very, very difficult for your application to be seen, especially if you're new. Your application will rank quite low down. So overall, I wouldn't really recommend doing this at all if you can avoid it. I'm only doing this while I'm looking for something more permanent. But I would definitely not recommend trying to do SOYDEV freelancing as a long-term career option, because essentially it takes way longer to do anything than you think it will. Half of the projects you apply for, even if you receive a response, which is quite rarely, will turn into being something completely different. So I had somebody ask me for some help in Python with graphical user interfaces, which is fairly easy. That's something I can definitely do. And then it turned into a project where they wanted to do the graphical user interface themselves, and they wanted me to do some complex digital radio software. And they were writing some form of graphical user interface for some software-defined radio, and they wanted me to do the digital processing for the radio itself. So I spent, I think, several days and probably over an hour of my time discussing this project with this person, trying to understand. They were based in Ireland, but for some reason they had terrible English, and I don't understand why that would have been. But they were very unclear as to what they wanted, and after an hour or so talking to them, it transpired what they actually wanted was me to implement some kind of software-defined radio, which was just not anything I had any experience with, and probably would have taken me at least a week of research to fully understand how to do it and to get an initial implementation. And they were offering £200 or something to do this. Just the amount that's being offered is, even on the more expensive projects, is just so much lower than the realistic cost to do these things. Anyway, so that about wraps it up for today. I will probably post some more Soy Devery videos over the coming weeks, because there's often times like this on a Sunday afternoon where I have nothing or very little to do. And so until then, thanks very much. I am no soy development and I do development without soy.